Hi and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn, going solo today, just me and you, of course. I haven't forgotten about you and Mac, so I guess I'm not really. And the neighbors walking around upstairs, so not really solo at all. But no Margot today, but that's fine because she'll just have to miss out on some what I hope to be good beers. Before I get started, it's been a long time coming. I wanted to thank Michael Ford for the 5-star review of the audio version of the podcast, the first one we have on there on iTunes. So thank you very much, Michael Ford. We actually have 6 ratings, but only 1 review. So thanks, Michael, very much. So what beers do I have today? I have Smuttynose, 3 beers from Smuttynose Brewing, and this is a fairly widely distributed beer on the East Coast, but it just started coming into the Midwest about a year ago, so fairly new to me. I've had some of their seasonal offerings because those, the special beers kind of find a way to make it to beer events and stuff like that, but I haven't had just a lot of their normal offerings, so I personally wanted to give them a try, and I figured, since it is a beer that a lot of you may be able to get, or if you're ever out on the East Coast, try, why not do it? So what I have here is 3 year-round offerings from Smuttynose up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, right across the border from Maine. It looks like they're like 100 feet from Maine, so way up there, and they've been around for a while. Certainly a name that I had heard of for a while, and just one of those beers that I always kind of heard of from up in New England, but hadn't really had. And yeah, been around since the mid-90s, like so many of those other breweries. Not sure what their story is, but my guess it's probably like all the others, home brewer turned professional brewer. The first beer we have here, I believe, was one of their first beers ever brewed. It is their Star Island single, and it's, they call it a Belgian Pale Ale. So a single, I think I've talked about a little bit in the past. You guys might have heard of a triple or a double before, very popular Belgian style beers, which we will be talking about more and more. I just got done with the sour beers, and wanted to kind of take a break before I jump back into some more Belgian stuff, but I will be doing a lot more. Gonna have a bunch of Trappist beers upcoming, so look out for that, guys. I know a lot of you have been asking about the Trappist beers, and they are coming very soon. All of them, if you know what I mean. Well, no, there's one in Australia now, so not all of them. Getting back to this, so you have the triple, the double, and I'll get into why those are named, but then there's a very rarely brewed beer called a single, and I'm guessing that's why they came up with this name. They call this their session beer. It's just under 5%, I think 4.7, something like that. Belgian singles or Belgian pale, I'm guessing it's going to be malt driven, some yeast character, not too much hop going on, and just something that you want to drink on a hot day, which is definitely what I want to do. It's like 95 degrees in Chicago today. That doesn't happen. That's not supposed to happen in Chicago. It's supposed to be really cold and then wonderfully mild summers. It's 90. And I, of course, decided to take the 90-degree day and then make it a brew day. So my house was like a sweltering 110. And yeah, I just had to kind of decompress from the brew day. A lot of fun, but it is kind of a lot of work and a long day. So I figured this would be a really fun way to do it. Anyway, I'm blathering. I've got the beer here. Let's take a sniff. Interesting. It's got a really peachy aroma to it. A little bit of like a soapy potpourri. Soapy's, I don't mean it's soapy, that's more of a taste, but like those heavily scented soaps, kind of like the high-end Crabtree and Evelyn soaps, potpourri, a hint of like almost a yogurty tartness in here as well, and a really nice like green peach, not like a real lush ripe peach or like a gummy peach, you know, like a candied peach, something like that. Like, you know, like you're sniffing the outside of the peach and you're getting a little bit of that green leaf at the top. Don't start talking the moment the beer hits your lips, because then it just spills. Reminds me a little bit of what I remember Festina Pêche to be, if you guys have had that beer from Dogfish. Oh, which I've had on the show. We had it on the show. It's a Berliner Weiss. It's nice. It does definitely have that peachy, fruity character to it. It's subtle though. It's balanced very nicely with a very light base malt. Hardly any hop character or taste at all. No bitterness really. A little bit fuller mouthfeel than I would expect. Kind of like a nice soft feel to it, and a really lovely lingering kind of peach blossom scent just kind of sitting in my mouth and tongue and tasting it. I like it. Certainly a beer that would be great on a really hot day, maybe with a salad or some fish, something, you know, a little bit milder. Yeah, I'd love to have this with you know, maybe some, you know, a nice like mild white fish. And at 4.7%, you know, it's good for the golf course too. Nice beer. I'm going to give this beer a 90. You know, it's sometimes when you get beers that start getting under 5%, they start just getting watery and don't really have any flavor. But the yeast character here makes up for that, and it does give you a nice fruity quality to it. Belgian-y? Yeah, kind of. A little Belgian-y. It's definitely an American take on a Belgian. You know, it doesn't really have any of that spiciness. It does have some fruitiness, though. So, yeah, I think it's certainly, you know, fair to call it a Belgian single. I mean, there aren't really many of them out there anyway, so what are you going to compare it to? Moving on. Oh, this beer, these are all marked with Best By dates right on the bottle, so yay to Smuttynose, I should say. Thanks, guys. We always want to know how old our beer is. Best By October 2nd. It is now, you know, mid-late June. June 20th is when I'm recording the show. So, you know, let's be at most, let's say they give you 6 months for their beer. So counting backwards, that's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So, you know, 5 to 5 to 7. So maybe less than 2 months old. So we'll call it 7 weeks old for this one. So, you know, not too shabby. At worst, 7 weeks. And I like bottled dates, but, you know, Best By is also fine too, and it's more consumer friendly. Moving on, we have the Old Brown Dog Ale, and this is a brown ale, and they call it an American brown ale. You don't see too many people calling that. It usually have just like a brown ale or a nut brown ale, something like that. We had English style brown ales on in a previous show, and the American versions, you know, like I say, they're bigger, so they're going to be more of that nuttiness or chocolatey flavor, and also often more hoppy. So a true American brown ale is derived from a Texas brown ale, it's called, which was a homebrew style. Doesn't really exist too much anymore. People are much more are going towards the malt driven brown ales, but from what I heard, this is a classic American brown ale, so my guess is that might mean it's a Texas brown, and let's see if there's any hops in here. So definitely malt driven, that's fine. It's got a nice like cocoa or cocoa powder, semi-sweet chocolate, not quite bordering onto that milk chocolatey, but it's definitely, those notes are there. Some nuttiness as well, caramel toffee, just a hint. Really what I'm getting is almost like a nutty chocolatiness. Yeah, I'm not getting a whole heck of a lot of hops. Yeah, really not much at all. So I would consider this just to be, yeah, you know, the standard contemporary American brown ale. Have my hopes up a little bit. Okay, so there is some hops here. It's interesting. The first thing you get the hops here just for a little bit and then they're gone. Yeah. So at first you get that nice kind of soft mouth feel with that chocolatey nuttiness that you get in the aroma, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of like earthy hops in there, which really plays off really nicely in this beer. But then they're gone again, and it's back to that rich kind of creamy chocolate, and then it just washes away. Very, very easy finishing beer. It's just this kind of now gone. A little hint of chocolate on the palate still. No bitterness to speak of. Not sure what the ABV is here, but my guess it would be, you know, maybe 5.5, something in that range. Again, a nice easy drinking beer. This beer is best by September 7th, so this might be maybe going on 2.5 months old at most. For a brown ale, that's fine. You know, maybe there was some more hop in there before, but it's kind of faded off a little bit. Who knows? Nice drinking beer. It's. I'll take just one last sip of it. It's good. It's actually got a decent amount of carbonation too. Kind of scrubs your tongue a little bit. Good beer. You know, I'll go 90 with this one as well. You know, they're just two nice beers. I really enjoy them, you know. And a 90 is a good score. I don't know what you think. I think a 90 is a good score. And I'm scoring it, so I say it is good. Last but not least is the IPA. This one is best by October 25th. So we're probably looking at maybe like, you know, a month old, 6 weeks old, something like that. Who knows? Smuttynose IPA, awesome. They actually all have some kind of interesting artwork. This one, the Star Island single's got a mermaid, kind of interesting looking mermaid. Old Brown Dog has like a brown dog, but almost like a glamour shot of like those people who get portraits of their dogs. I know someone who would like to get a portrait of their dog, but she is not allowed by her husband. But this one is just two old guys, looks like two old New Englanders, and this is called their Finest Kind IPA, and just two old codgers. One's got a John Deere hat, and they're just having two IPAs and living it up. I really like, I don't know, for some reason I've always liked that label. I've noticed it even before I've had the beer. Don't know if I've had this beer before. Don't recall. That's the thing about tasting all these beers. You forget a lot of them. I try to take notes, but it's hard. Okay, I haven't really talked about the color of any of these beers, guys, and I apologize. It's been a long day. Sorry. I will talk about this one now. This is a fairly clear, a little bit hazy orange, nice solid dollop of white foam on there. Attractive looking beer. It's hard in tasting portions to know what it would look like if you pour the whole thing, but I'm saying this is a pretty nice looking beer. I'm getting similar character, I'm sorry, aromatics as I am from the pale, or the single. What is it? Star Island single. I'm getting a little of that peachy aroma, that like tart peach. I wonder if it's the same yeast and it's giving that kind of peachy ester. I'm not getting a whole heck of a lot of hops, guys. That's kind of what I want in, unless maybe they're using a peachy hop, but I doubt it. Yeah, so I am getting some citrus, orangey tangerine, something like that. But it's not jumping out at me, which, you know, it doesn't need to. You know, you can have more subtle IPAs. IPA is such a broad style, especially in America. I would almost consider this to be an English style IPA. It's balanced, especially by today's contemporary standards of what American IPAs are. Certainly bitter. Not a whole hell of a lot of hop up front in the mouth and on the nose, which is, you know, like I just said, the trend these days. But that's fine. Again, this reminds me of kind of a sessionable beer. I mean, it's quite bitter. I mean, my guess is it's up there in the 60s or 70s, but it's approachable. It's got you know, kind of a light hop flavor that matches that kind of light fruity ester as well, and the light malt. It's just restrained. You get a little bit of kind of the caramely malt. You get a little bit of that fruity ester from the yeast, and you get a little bit of that citrusy, maybe, I was saying tangerine, maybe orange pith. You know, a little bit of like that the white stuff on the inside of the orange peel. If you peel off the orange, there's that white stuff on the inside. If you eat that stuff, it's a little bitter, but it still has the flavor of the fruit. I'm getting a little orange pith in here, and at the end, quite bitter. And after the second sip, it's even more so. You know, this would be really good with a burger with like some really nice sharp cheddar on it, like a high-end burger, to kind of cut through some of that bitterness. Just in general, like a nice English cheddar. Also a good beer. And a lot of times beers that aren't kind of punching you in the face with hops, especially IPAs, get overlooked. There's nothing wrong with this beer. It's well put together, it's well balanced, and I like it. I'm gonna go 90 with this one as well. I think this is the first time where I've just gone 90, 90, 90. These are good beers. There's nothing wrong with any of them. I'm starting to pick up that maybe the philosophy, the brewing philosophy is, you know, balance and subtlety. You know, kind of the tortoise versus the hare. And it's good, you know, I'm glad that there's guys out there like Smuttynose doing this, putting together well-made beers that, you know, don't need to knock you in the face, that you can just sit and buy a six-pack and enjoy every sip of all 6 of those beers, and you know what, maybe not be on your butt at the end of the night. So cool, I'm very happy with all 3 of these. 390s, I mean, that's a pretty good average. I think that averages out to like 89 or something. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for dealing with me. Kind of maybe delirious from my very long brew day, but I just wanted to kind of hop on. I really enjoy doing these shows with you guys. I feel like it is with you guys. So thank you so much for all the comments. And keep them coming. I love hearing from you guys. I love when you guys just drop a comment on craftbeertemple.com. If you haven't gone to the site, if you're one of the iTunes listeners, look on there. Just, you know, drop me a note and say, hey, I always appreciate that. But I'll be looking out for you. And until then, I've got 3 90-point beers to be drinking. And hopefully you do too.